Ooh, welcome back to Amazin But True. The welcomes get more and more depressing each episode. I mean,
You don't even have it. You don't have it in you. You don't
there's
have it
no
in you.
crescendo or decrescendo. It's just a hendo. I don't know what to call it. An endo. It's the end of times. It's Jake Brown here with Nelson Figueroa. It's our Mets podcast from the New York Post. No guest today. We'll try and keep things somewhat light later as we take a trip to the Nelson Figueroa Spanish Academy. Figgy, we'll start with some pleasantries before I start yelling. How was your first shows? New York, what is it? New York Sports Nation. It's a long name. New York Sports Nation Nightly on Pix 11.
Well, the New York part is already implied because we're in New York. It's Channel 11, Pix 11, so it's Sports Nation Nightly. So it's a spinoff of our Sports Nation show, which was just an hour show every Sunday at 11 o'clock at night. We do half-hour shows at 7 o'clock weekly. Or I'm saying weekdays.
Yeah, I will be your Tony Reale where I'll correct you, where I texted you after saying it is the Brooklyn. You said New Jersey Nets. That was the one mistake. Otherwise, you did a good job.
Thank
you. Look good on there. I see you and Moose do your little fist pound. You know, we do that virtually here.
Just because you're afraid to go into the studio. We haven't been in the studio in
I'm
how
not
long?
afraid. I mean, it's not the nice. It's no TV studio or closet that we have there.
That's true. That is true.
So Amazin But True will not be trapped in the closet for a while this season. But well, you were on TV Monday. The New York Mets were, but we couldn't find them. We couldn't find the channel. We couldn't find the bats. We couldn't find anything. 4-13 over the 17 games where the Mets went up against lousy teams. By my math, that makes them a lousy team. And by my math, 20-22 record as we head into a 6-game homestand coming up against the league-leading World Series contending Tampa Bay Rays and the Cleveland Guardians, who are a decent team. The Mets are 2 games under 500 at 20-22 after a weekend where, sure, they might have split the series, but they essentially lost that series, Figgy. They could not hit. They have not hit a home run since May 10th. It's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight games without a home run. There have been, more home runs in softball games for your local, Toys R Us than there are from the Mets. That didn't even make sense, but I don't care.
Yeah, 52 innings.
Sense right now.
It's been 52 innings since Pete Alonso hit a home run, which was, I believe, their lone run that game. We knew this team didn't have a lot of power. We knew they were more gap to gap type. We had some speed up at the top between Nimmo, Lindor, McNeil can run. He's athletic. You got Marte who can run and athletic. You figure those 4 guys, they're more doubles hitters with occasional pop. Pete Alonso is going to have to carry the load with the big bat, and you would hope Vogelback, being a DH, could hit at least a few home runs. But this is getting ridiculous now. The catching position is giving you nothing offensively.
Or on the base pass where you get picked off with the bases loaded. I didn't know that was possible in this sport. Where were you going? There's nowhere to go. There's ducks on the pond. There's Long Island ducks on the pond. Where is he going, Alvarez?
Yeah, see, this is what happens when you have friends and you think everybody's your friend until they pick you off. And I remember this happened to Pete Alonso. He got picked off as well. So don't let Pete stand or feel like he was above a rookie getting picked off. He got picked off as well. And I remember texting him afterwards and I go, nobody is your friend. Remember that. No one is your friend. First basemen do it all the time. They lull you in a sense of, no, I'm playing way back. And then all of a sudden, boom, little hand gesture to the catcher. And in a huge situation with bases loaded, the rookie gets picked off. And those are the little things that add up that make a manager want to rip his hair right out and, make it harder and harder to put his name in the lineup because you want to give him that example of, look, that can't happen. But who else is going to catch? Even though Perez did a fantastic job filling in with the 4-hit game.
Yeah, it was a Wendy's special. You get the fries, you get the burger, you get the soda, and you get the nuggets. It was 4 for 4.
4 for 4. You can't beat that. That was as good as it gets for him. It's his second 4-hit game of his career. He, he didn't look like a rookie where, oh my God, what could he possibly do? He looked very calm, composed, put good swings on every every at bat, and he handled himself very well behind the dish. So that's what happens when you sign a veteran backup like that. And I don't know if we'll ever see Gary Sanchez.
Oh, I was about to say, El Gary is 6 for 16 with 7 walks, a homer, and 5 RBIs. And he has an option to get out of his contract by Friday if he wants to. So the Mets might have these next 5 days before El Gary says El Adios to the New York Mets and goes elsewhere, because you might have to call him out at some point. Because I wouldn't hate him if he was like, I'm out of here. You have Alvarez, you have Narvaez coming back. You like Perez. I'll go somewhere else where I might get a chance. He might not get that chance here. And I wouldn't even hate seeing him this week in Queens.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that you knew when he signed, that something was wrong. You knew there was no reason to bring in Gary Sanchez if everybody was healthy, and all of a sudden, oh, look at that, Nito goes on the IL. I don't think Narvaez is ready yet to come back or start baseball activities. They might have to just try it, but that means Perez would have to go back down. And I don't know if Perez has options or not, if you ever would have to clear waivers. So it gets very complicated when you bring in a guy who has so much major league time and can opt out. It looks great on paper, but, if Gary Sanchez wasn't hitting, he'd want to probably stay, and see if because where's he going? Honestly, I don't think there's a big market for Gary Sanchez at this point.
All right, we'll get back to the hitting. Let's transition to the pitching, because the Mets are 1-7 when David Peterson starts this season. That one win, he gave up 6 runs. The only time they won with him on the mound was another start he got rocked. His confidence is shot. I don't want to take a dump all over the guy, but get the hell off this roster right now. And Carlos Carrasco is back this weekend, barring another illness or another setback or something. And for the Mets fans who said, I'd rather have Peterson in the rotation than Carrasco, your mouth better be taped shut now, because Carlos Carrasco, this isn't a Kanye album. He's got an 8.08 ERA, and there's no good 808s about that ERA. That is Steve Traxel 2001-esque. They showed the numbers, and Traxel had something around over an 8 ERA his first 8 starts in 2001, and he was the Mets' most winningest pitcher of the decade. So I shouldn't even put David Peterson in that same sentence as our guy who we love, who we saw last year in the suite. So David Peterson, you ain't got to go home, but you got to get the hell out of here. And he's headed back to upstate New York this week because he will be off the roster. And you can't blame him that much, but you can when the Mets are being outscored 37-9 in the first inning. Death, taxes, and the Mets trailing games after the first. This was a team that excelled in the first inning last year, and now you're demoralized if you turn the game on late because, not
even late. What do you mean late? Second inning.
Yeah, it's second or third inning, and the Mets are already losing, and this is night after night after night. And then you follow that in the second with getting picked off with the bases loaded, like we said with Alvarez. You knew these things were going to come back to bite them. It was a fundamentally bad weekend. Then Alvarez, first and third, he throws to second, which I hate doing when there's a runner at third. But then he made a bad throw, gets into center field, the run scores. That's the kind of stuff that can't happen. This looked like a lackadaisical team. And listen, Patrick Corbin, this isn't 2019. Patrick Corbin made you look like a Cy Young winner last year, Figgy. He was 6-19 with a 6.31 ERA. The year prior, 9-16 with a 5.82 ERA. This year, coming into Monday, 5-1 with a 4.87 ERA. The Mets can't be losing to these bad pitchers. Sunday, they lose to a Harvey, and it wasn't Matt Harvey on the mound. Hunter Harvey out there.
Hunter Harvey.
I mean, this is just the 4-9 in the stretch against these sub 500 teams. It's unacceptable baseball. The New York Mets have not won a series since the eve of 420. They've been baked for a month. They've been stoned for the last 4 weeks. They have a hangover from the sour diesel, Biggie. They are ripped out of their minds. They've been hitting blunts, and they haven't put them down. They've been hitting blunts more than they're hitting baseballs. 419. That was the last time they won. It was against the Dodgers in LA. It was on the eve of 420. It was an afternoon game. If it was a night game, I could say it was 420 on the East Coast, but it was not. They haven't won a series since then. They've been in a lackadaisical downfall, and they need a spark to the lineup, not to the blunt. They need a spark, and they have to do something. It's time to shake it up is right now. And whether that's, Mauricio, whether that's Vientos, whether that's Gary Sanchez. You need an infusion. Lineup-wise, it's hard to make it work with two guys. You're probably going to be able to do one unless you decide to cut Tommy Pham. But I've had enough of Luis Guillorme starting twice a week. He can't hit. He's a defensive player. That's all he is. Get him off the roster. Tommy Pham, if you get him off, fine. Just don't sign him to your fantasy football team, and you'll be just fine. There has to be a spark, Figgy, and I don't know what it is, but one or two of those guys needs to be in the lineup Tuesday when Justin Verlander, in one positive news, makes his home debut against the best team in baseball, the Tampa Bay Rays at Citi Field.
Yeah, you got to figure Mark Vientos is going to get that call. I mean, the guy has done everything he needs to do at AAA. He has years of experience in AAA and hitting, 20, 25 home runs. He needs to get an opportunity to prove that he can't do it at the big league level. He got acclimated last year. It started off slow for him. Then he started swinging the bat a little bit better. Right now, he's in a great groove. It's a really good time to get him in there. And you know what? Tommy Pham, yes, is a veteran player, but you can't keep running out guys that are having these 200 or sub 200 batting averages.
He hit cleanup on Monday. He hit cleanup. What are we? Is this Eric Campbell's soup part
We were
two?
just looking at that. We were just looking at that lineup, the one that had Mayberry,
yeah.
Mayberry batting fourth, Campbell batting fifth, Lucas Duda batting sixth.
Rally Dildo, TJ Rivera batting seventh. They need a rally Dildo right now.
Tejada was batting second at the time. So, and then Tejada's with the Ducks. So I really think that this team needs to bring up Vientos, see what the kid can do, give him an opportunity, whether that's an IL stint for Tommy Pham or somebody. It's something has to change. And not just that. We saw some things today, Nimmo. Listen, I love the fact that he's being aggressive in center field. I love the fact that he's getting to a lot of balls. But when you have Starling Marte standing by the side of you and he's yelling, I got it, I think he's caught a lot more balls in his career than you have. Let him catch the damn ball. If you didn't hear him say, I got it, that's different. If you're going to lay out for the ball and you can be aggressive, that's different. But he's standing underneath the damn ball. And he's screaming and yelling, I got it. And you still get in the way. And when he pulls away, you pull your glove back and the miscommunication leads to that triple. That's something that can't happen.
And also with the sun coming in, it was already going to be whoever caught it a difficult play. And Nimmo made it more difficult. I agree by, you heard Marte say, they didn't show if Nimmo said I got it either.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Marte said it.
You can see Marte said it, and Marte has played center field for numbers of years and been very well respected defensively. This isn't somebody you're trying to hide in right field. Let him catch the damn ball. We've seen this a lot already, where he's almost running into Nimmo because Nimmo wants to cover a lot of ground and cover extra ground. Look, you got your $160 million. You don't need to go all out and try and prove that, you can be a valuable center fielder. That usually leads to somebody getting hurt, whether it's you or the right fielder, because you're running into people all the time. Marte has to be able to call him off there and get that ball. There's been not enough of the Mets offense, not enough of their defense at times. It just looks like a team that's lost. And the sick thing about it, Jake, is if you look in the standings, what are they, 6 out now? 5.5?
6 out. The Braves win tonight, so they are 6.5 games behind the Braves. And they got lucky that the Braves lost 4 in a row going into Monday, finally won. That they're figuring not 10, they could be double-digit games out if the Braves finally didn't start losing some games. But the silver lining is this: the Mets are half game out of the wild card. Remember, there's 3 wild card teams. The Mets are only half a game out of the playoffs, playing as terrible as they've played. And I can't even find more synonyms. They're still in a playoff race with, 2022? Let me do the Mama Brown math. That's 120 games still remaining. That's a lot of games for a team that hasn't won a series since the eve of 420. I'll say it again. Put down the blunt and pick up the bats, Mets.
You're getting healthy. You got Scherzer, who, seemed like he was much, much more comfortable rounding into form. Justin Verlander, who, jumped in, from 70 pitches to over 100 pitches in that start. And that's why they wanted to give him an extra day, which led to us having to watch Peterson again.
Yeah, those extra days got to go. 5 starters, please. They don't have enough starters to do that. I get why they did that. This was fine. but no more.
They should have planned. Here's the thing, foresight, knowing that you had two guys that are, 40-year-old, and knowing you had a Japanese pitcher who's not used to pitching every fifth day. You should have went with a 6-man rotation right out the chute. Everybody's prepared, doing it in spring training, doing it in the beginning of the season, and everybody would have been much more prepared to do it and be okay with it. Baseball has always, a team like Tampa Bay, they were the first ones to use the opener and still use the opener. You can name the 5 starting pitchers for the Tampa Bay Rays. I'll wait.
Yeah, I couldn't, because then they do a lot of. They'll be doing an opener and then another basically opener Tuesday.
They lost 2 pitchers, right?
Yeah,
they just lost 2 pitchers. One's having Tommy John. Springs is having Tommy John, and then you look at Rasmussen, who threw a gem against the Yankees for 7 innings. Then he turns out the next day, a 60-day IL. So did the Rays boo-hoo? Oh my God, our guys are injured. No. All they do is they still find ways to win ball games. They still
their whole lineup is hitting too, which is the polar opposite of the Mets.
If name the 9 starting players for the Tampa Bay Rays.
I cannot without a depth chart in front of me.
This is what I'm saying. So I'm not sitting here. We don't have the players to do it. We don't have the guys aren't healthy. Other teams are finding ways to win, and look no further than Tampa Bay Rays, who everybody says, oh, soft schedule, this, that. We just talked about soft schedule. 13 games against teams under 500, 4 series in a row where you're playing teams you should be beating. And not just you're not beating them, you're not scoring any runs off them. Averaging 2 runs or less, 6 out of the last 7 games, it seems. You score 8 runs in one damn inning, not 8 runs in the game. 1 damn inning, nothing else besides that. The other 8 scoreless.
They had 2 good innings all weekend. They had the Lindor, while I was watching my Knicks season come to an end, he had his 3-run single, and you had the 8-run inning. Outside those 2 innings, the Mets offense was a disgrace this week.
Yeah, and it's getting harder and harder to watch. And so, you talk about things that have to get, you have to shake it up, and they're trying to play the long game, and I understand it. Because yes, it's a long season. We're only a third of the way there, or whatever it is, a fifth of the way there, or whatever we're at these days. My biggest thing is, we just looked at last year what the Phillies were able to do, even what the Braves were able to do in this division, where they caught fire at the end and overtook the Mets. You look, when the Nationals won the World Series, and after 50 games, they were 19-31. This isn't that kind of situation. So as bad as it looks, it's not that bad. It can turn around very quickly, but it has to be the consistency of good at bats, the consistency of not making boneheaded plays and making excuses about it afterwards. I think you're going to see a different Buck Showalter coming pretty soon, because in this day and age, they don't like when you call them out in the media. And I'm sure Buck is really good at not doing that. But behind closed doors, he's telling them to clean it up. He's telling them that this is unacceptable, but he's got to make it seem as if, these guys are professionals and they know what they're doing. Maybe they don't, because they keep doing the same damn things. So I think there will be some, not necessarily finger pointing, but guys need to start taking accountability for, their inability to score runs, to make pitches, and to, get the job done.
Flip a table.
Oh, no.
Flip a table, Buck. Flip over the bologna sandwiches. Toss this thing off my rooftop later.
Ever since that thing came out, how many games have they won?
Every game they lose because of this thing. Look at this. This is the Mets season right now. It should be this. All smiles. It shouldn't be this.
That's funny.
They need a spark. And I'm telling you, Tuesday, I want it to be like a storybook. Justin Verlander makes his home debut, Citi Field. Is it rocking on a Tuesday? No. Tickets are still $7 on TickPick right now. But the 27,000 fans.
What was the name of that website you get your tickets at?
TickPick. Make sure you say it carefully.
Whoa.
It's actually very good. We need to get them as a sponsor maybe, but I shouldn't be giving this much free promo. On that front, by the way, there are apparently going to be 50 more podcast shirts made with the Cadillac logo on the sleeves. So there will be limited supply only. So I'm already going to, people already have one. They're like, can I get the other color? It's like, no, stop being greedy. You got one, share for the others. We're already giving them for free. I mean, most places charge. We're for the people, by the people.
That's us.
But, Taylor Swift was shaking it off this weekend in Philly. The Mets need to shake it off and turn this thing around. Is it shake it off, shake it off, shake
that's
it off, right? Not
Yeah.
shake it up. I'm thinking of because Scott Farrell, the radio host, says shake it up. No, the Mets shake it up, shake it off, shake Sonora. Do whatever you need to do to turn this around. Because like we say time after time, I said it with Clem from Barstool on Thursday's podcast or Friday, whatever the hell day it was. I'm losing. This schedule is bizarre. I said they are better than this. Like I know, and I get it. You could have the argument of, okay, last year a lot of these guys had career years, and they're not going to repeat those years. I get that. But even these guys at solid to mediocre years, they're better than 20 and 22. It starts with starting pitching. No more excuses. Scherzer's back and look good. Verlander back and look good. Carrasco's back this week. Maybe that was the reason for his struggles. You know, people forget that he was a 15-win guy last year. Carrasco's no bum. You got him. Senga, you hope he's starting to adjust to the ball, and he'll be good. The weather's warming up now. Easier to grip the ball. He should be good. And then, you'll probably have McGill. McGill has luckily been solid. No more Peterson. Lucchese's been an option, so that time is done for Lucchese. You got your 5 guys. Now go show us. And it's going to take help. Like when you get called up for, a starter who's struggling, that's kind of the kick in their rear end of, I got to be better.
Yep.
Maybe calling, Mauricio. It's becoming a weekly. This happened with Clem on Thursday, and my mic fell too. So I think my mic is falling is the new turn my mic on, Mike Francesa, on this program. I need to get a new stand because this thing keeps falling. But, you said Vientos. I say Mauricio. Mauricio's 353, 7 overs, 24 RBIs. And the thing with Mauricio, Figgy, is you can throw him at second and then have McNeil in the outfield. Luckily, Can is finally coming around. Marte in a 6-game hitting streak finally seems to be coming around. But at least with Mauricio, you have the option to put him at second. With Vientos, it's like, are you going to play him against a lefty over Beatty at third, or are you going to DH him, or are you going to maybe play him at first and DH Alonso? But Alonso likes to be out there every day. Vientos, you have less options, but I agree he does have more experience and gives you a little bit more power for a team, Figgy, that outside of Lindor and Alonso is getting absolutely no home run production. 62 RBIs from those guys, and I think it's 18 homers. Outside of that, no one has more than 3 dingers, and that is quite alarming on May 15th.
Yeah, so we were talking about that on the show today. They said, will Pete Alonso lead the major leagues in home runs? And I said, if any of these pitchers had a brain in their heads, the guy who's batting 5th, no matter who that guy has been all season long, has batted .211 with 3 home runs and 11 RBIs. So why the hell would you pitch to Pete Alonso? Pitch to whoever's behind Pete Alonso. Don't worry about Pete Alonso. Whether you walk him, hit him, whatever it may be, he shouldn't see pitches to hit. He shouldn't see anything that he can get a barrel to with any kind of ease. So I said I would love to see him have that opportunity, but he needs protection behind him. He needs somebody batting behind him that will allow these guys to say, hey, you know what? We don't want to load the bases for the next guy. We don't want to put him on and just see what happens, because the next guy up can handle the bat. That's where they went wrong, where we talked about a right-handed DH the whole winter. They needed a right-handed DH. They needed a power bat like a Nelson Cruz will get Pete Alonso pitched to, because Nelson Cruz has hit 20-plus home runs for the last 2 decades. Not 1, 2 decades. And you need somebody in that spot that can make them pitch to Pete, make a mistake to Pete, give Pete an opportunity to come through in the clutch. Because why the hell would you pitch to him if you didn't have to? And these teams are going to start getting smarter. If they're not, then whatever this new analytical baseball is just gone right past me.
Yeah, why pitch to him when Daniel Vogelbach is taking every pitch in sight? Like, you didn't get Vogelbach just to walk. Sure, his OBP is great. Yippee. He's doing nothing else. 19 homers, 62 RBIs between Alonso and Lindor. And Lindor, while he's been good in the clutch, I guess, he's got to start hitting just more, period. 224 is unacceptable. 308 OBP. He's not even getting on a third of the time. Pete's getting on a third of the time. And then Nimmo's your next guy with 18 RBIs. Brandon Nimmo is your leadoff hitter. That's a problem when your number 3 RBI guy is your leadoff hitter. And Nimmo has really been the only constant in terms of hitting. Pete's been, good, 13 homers, but hasn't hit a bunch of homers lately, and he's not hitting enough. Nimmo's your one guy. McNeil, batting champ, is at 270. Everyone else has sucked, and that's why you need an infusion. Sure, Vogelbach's OBP is good, but he's not good enough. Sit his ass. Sit his ass on the bench. Mark Canha, maybe he's coming around now the last few games. He hasn't been good enough. Sit his ass. Get one of these guys up here. You need some kind of spark. And one of those guys, they got to realize, I got to be better. We got to be better. And listen, Tommy Pham, he's got 9 RBIs, 3 homers, but he's hitting 191. Like, he cannot be hitting cleanup in a game you need to win the series. You look at the contenders across the board, and the Mets are going to see a lot of them in the next 6 weeks, Viggy, where the schedule gets just ridiculous. And I'll give you the stats in a second, but you don't have contending teams having a 191 hitter hitting cleanup who's doing nothing for you. So you want to know the upcoming schedule and why it needs to begin now. And here it is. You had your stretch of easy games. You sucked so bad that you've put yourself in a position where you got to beat good teams. And, the Phillies were 19-22 at this time of the year last year, and they made the World Series. So again, like we keep saying, it's not over, but there's got to be a kick in the rear end. And you look at the schedule here coming up, it is extremely difficult, Figgy. The next, up until the All-Star break, they have 9 games against teams who are below 500. The rest of them are all teams right around 500 or better. That means a whole lot of games against really good teams. And, if you can't beat the bad teams, I don't know what tells me now you could beat good teams, but up until the All-Star break, buckle up, because there are all difficult games ahead, Figgy.
Yeah, and that's one of those things that you
hope for teams that kind of figure it out. Teams that are really good teams, they usually play to the level of their competition. And it's a shame to say that, but you almost want the good teams to come in, because that's what they did when they went out west, right? They went out west for that Dodgers, challenge. Yeah.
39 games against teams right around 500 better, 9 against way below 500 teams. 39 versus 9. That's a big difference.
Oh, it's a huge difference. But again, you hope they play to a level of competition. Maybe they raise their level. Or who knows what it might take. That's a spark right there, because they know their back's against the wall. You just literally gave away 13 games where they should have been competitive. They shouldn't have been competitive. You have teams who have not necessarily thrown in the towel, but they're in that rebuilding phase or just don't care. They're the Cincinnati Reds just don't care. It's not they're not in the division that they feel that they can win right now. They're trying to build something, but man, you can't go out there night in and night out losing the game in the first inning and then coming back at the end of the game and you're 1 run short. Oh my God, time and time again. It's got to be the most frustrating thing in the world. And you sit back and you're like, Uncle Buck's going to save us. But man, he's reaching at straws now. There's nothing else he can say. All the cliches are already out. There's nothing else that can be said. They just got to get the damn job done.
Just, what to do? Just start bunting. Lay down some first inning bunts. Give me a lead off bunt. Shake it up. Shake it off. That's the theme of the show. That'll be the headline. Shake it off, featuring Taylor Swift. I couldn't book her on the show. She was busy this weekend. It's got to change. And the Rays come. The Guardians come. The good news is you get Verlander. You might get him twice. I think you'll get him Tuesday, and you should get him Sunday. I keep saying should, but with how the 6-man rotation and injuries have been happening, here we go again. I said it, the mush. Verlander
every time, dude.
If Verlander gets hurt Tuesday, oh man, I'm gonna be getting some blame. But go out and go 4-2, like just win 2 series. We're not asking for sweeps here. Get back in this thing and turn it around. And
that's usually what happens. So you win 2 out of the 3 at home. You win the series at home, and then you try and spoil it for the other teams when you're on the road. And if those bad teams that you can go in their home, their house and sweep them, then it just, it builds up and it adds up towards the end when you start looking at the games that you should have won and the games in April that we talk about, these games that we're watching now where you're like, my God, they're just giving away these games. These are games that are within their reach, and it's frustrating. Talk about the Yankees for a second. Somebody was saying, they've lost 6 of the games against the Rays by 1 run. I don't give a damn if it's 1 run or 100 runs. A loss is a loss at the end of the year. You don't get a bigger ribbon at the end of the year because you almost won. You lost. And that's it, no matter what. And so I don't sit there and look at the positives of that. Well, we almost won those games. No, that doesn't matter. There's no Mets yearbook looking back. Oh, and this team almost won 100 games. That's not going to happen.
Well, speaking of Mets yearbook, before we go to the academy, we'll close with this. What an utter, I mean, the weekend was already a clown show, but what an utter disgrace when you had to watch 7 episodes of Mets yearbooks because it was a 5-hour rain delay and it wasn't even raining. I mean, Saturday, 3-hour delay rain. I mean, you should have never started the game because they were playing in a downpour. And of course, the Mets end up losing this game, suspended game on Sunday. It's the rain stops. They don't get the field together. They leave fans waiting another hour and a half with no rain. And then they're like, all right, we're going to move it to Sunday. It's top third. Of course, the Mets have 2 guys on, 1 out, which usually means they're not going to score. They end up the next day scoring. But of course, they get screwed because they're in the middle of their lineup, lose 3-2 on Sunday. And on top of that, the Nationals in their bozo stadium that doesn't serve straws because they're communists. Who doesn't have straws?
They're communists.
They freaking make it a split admission doubleheader. Hey, you bums. Fans aren't already showing up to your games. Take whatever people are getting tickets. Why would you make it split admission and screw the fans over who waited 4 hours on Saturday to go get their food and then go to a kiosk to pay for it and then come back to pick up the food because your service and your system to order food and eat food and drink without a straw is bizarre. And that's why when someone said, hey, are you going to the DC this weekend? I said, no. All right. I had to let that out. I feel better now.
You never go back there again, huh?
What a disgrace that was over the weekend. And then, of course, they lose the suspended game because what else is new? All right. The Rays, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday afternoon game. Next episode will come out Thursday night. And hopefully we're talking about a series win on there. And then don't forget Subway Series. We haven't finalized it yet, but we should have a live podcast, likely at Ebbs Brewing, after the second Subway Series game. So that's Wednesday, June 14th, which happens to be Flag Day. Maybe the Mets by flag on 420. They had won their last series. Maybe Flag Day. They'll be celebrating a Subway Series sweep, on a holiday. All right, we'll try and make things brighter next as we talk about maybe butt cheeks and the new butt cheek celebration. The Mets did the whole slap on the butt when they had their 8-run inning. I'll take credit for that because they did it against Dom Smith, who did grab my butt cheek once, and I'll take credit for that.
I don't see how that's the same.
Oh, well, you'll find out why on the Nelson Figueroa Spanish Academy next on Amazin But True.
Bienvenidos, mi gente, a la Academia de Español de Nelson Figueroa. For those of you who don't speak Spanish, welcome to the Nelson Figueroa Spanish Academy, where my one and only student, and sometimes guest students with, hearts, comes in and nails it every time. But Jake is trying to broaden his horizons and be able to not just curse in English, but curse in Spanish at the players so they can understand him, because he's reached that limit. Today's phrase, the first one we're going to go with, abofetear las nalgas.
You should say what that means.
I'm going to let you say it first.
All right. Say it again. I got to type it in.
Abofetear las nalgas.
A China buffet? A buffet? What? Buffet?
Abofetear las nalgas.
A buffet tayar? A buffet. A buffet.
It's almost like you're a Muppet, but your mouth doesn't close all the way.
I love the Muppets, so that's a good reference. One of my favorite movies of all time, actually. A buffeteer.
Not a buffeteer. Abofetear las nalgas.
A buffet. I can't. Now I need to go to a China buffet this week.
No,
I haven't been to one of those in years, even though people usually frown upon those. But I love China buffets.
No.
A buffetear.
Oh my God, it sounds so awful.
Say it again.
Abofetear las nalgas.
I gotta say this word carefully. Say it again.
Nalgas.
Nalgas. A buffet. Don't you want to fanta? A buffetear las nalgas.
Yeah, that hurts. So that means slapping butt cheeks. Remember,
that's my favorite one. Nice.
Your whole rally thing, and of course you and Dom Smith. So
a buffetear, abomination. A buffetear las nalgas.
Okay, we got to move on. My God,
that was not bad.
No, for you. Next, of course, because you're such a Swiftie, quítaselo de encima.
That means shake it off, shake it off. Ooh, 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 ooh. Say it again.
Quítaselo de encima.
Oh my God, that's not even Spanish. What's the first word? Quinoa pie? What?
Quítaselo
Quítaselo
de encima.
de emphysema? De zima?
De encima.
De encima.
Not de.
De. All right. Quitasola de encima.
Quítaselo de encima.
Cello. Okay, like jello, right?
Yes.
Okay. Quitaselo de encima.
Beautiful. Now say it with a little more flair.
Quitaselo de encima.
There you go. Shake it off.
That was like Spanish for dummies right there. Look at
That's
that.
what the Mets have to do. And
Hooked
last
on
but,
phonics.
and last but not least, we talked about it often on this episode that this team needs something to happen. They need a spark. So for a spark, la chispa.
That's it?
That's it. Simple. A spark. It's small, but what happens?
Chisma?
Chispa.
I'm going to get some pizza now. La Chispa?
Not chispa.
Now I got first you got buffets on my mind. Now you got cheese on my mind. I got lactate pills over there that I'm gonna have to take if I'm eating all this cheese.
I'm not even kidding. I'm glad you're a happy, well-rounded individual who enjoys going out and walking, through the city and walking to see Met games and walking around the stadium.
The nicest thing you've ever said.
Because at this point, everything that you think of and hear is food. I'm worried.
Fat. What do you want me to do? People are like, you're not fat. I'm like, you want me to whip my belly out right now? When people say that, I feel, thank you very much for thinking I'm not fat. But if you saw my diet, you would think I star in Shrek 4 on, ESPN 8 The Ocho. And, I'm not. All right. Well, say it, Chisma. What is it again?
Not Chisma. Not cheese. Get cheese out of your mind. La Chispa.
La Chispa.
Mm-hmm.
It pretty much is like Cheez-Its. Chispa.
It's not cheese. Oh, come on. So the idea behind it's something short. It's quick. So I played in Mexico, and that was one of the first nicknames. When you play in the Mexican league, you have to have a nickname. So one of the guys' names was Chispa, and I was like, "What does that mean? What does that mean?" They're like, he gets everything started. He's the guy who starts things. I'm like, what does that mean? And then I found out that's what it meant. It meant the spark. He's a spark plug. He's the guy that gets it going. So funny.
Need a cheese pa. They need a cheese pa.
So the funny story about that is I go down to play Mexican summer ball. This is in 2006. I'm recovering from my surgery still. I go to play in the Mexican Summer League.
The thing.
The Dorados de Chihuahua. So
that's my favorite team.
The Dorados de Chihuahua was the name of the team. They were in Chihuahua, Mexico. I get there. I tell the cab driver I'm heading to the stadium. And he's like, oh, you like baseball. I said, yeah, I love baseball. And he's like, oh, you going to watch? I go, no, I'm actually a player. And he goes, no, you're a player? And this is all happening in Spanish. And he says, he goes, what's your name? And I say, Nelson Figueroa. And he goes, no, your name. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, the guys down here, they have names. El Borrego, this is a guy's name. He's a middle infielder. He's a middle infielder, a shortstop. It means it's like a guy who it's like an animal who burrows. He stays low to the ground. He fields everything. He's low to the ground. So I'm like, okay, Borrego, and then I go. This is my one moment. I can get any name I want. So I go. You know what? I'm El Asesino, the assassin. And he looks at me in the mirror through the rearview mirror in the car, and he looks at me. And I had my long hair going at the time. And he goes, the assassin? Come on, man. You look more like Cepillín. So Cepillín, I didn't know what that meant. So I'm like, okay, Cepillín, whatever. I get to the ballpark and I tell one of the guys on the team that I knew. I said, Luis, I go, what the hell's a Cepillín? And he looks at me and goes, oh my God, Cepillín. And he's pointing at me. So he looks it up on the internet and shows me. And it's a Mexican clown who's a white guy with long dark hair and curls, and he has a painted on makeup beard, and he goes, you do look like Cepillín. And
that's how the Mets are playing, like Cepillíns.
But I went from the assassin to the clown very quickly, and that damn name stuck for about a good 2 years. Every time I played in Mexico or near the Mexican leagues, everybody's like, "Oh, Cepillín is here," and I'm like, "No, Cepillín.
It all makes sense. You are a clown. I'm gonna start calling you La Cepillín. So you had
that one you know. That one you can nail.
La Cepillín. I mean, it takes one to know one. La Cepillín's got to stick together. And La burrito, another food item. I went from Chispa to burrito.
Burrito, real quick.
Oh God. Well, the Mets, get yourself a Chispa, get a burrito, and get some
runs. How about some runs and wins?
Some runs too, and throw some cinnamon twist on the side. We'll close out this episode of Amazing But True next. Well, alrighty, that says adios to La Chispas here on Amazing But True.
You're the worst.
Oh God, I gotta go get a snack. I'm hungry. All right, that says goodnight to episode 145, Amazing But True, our Mets podcast from the New York Post.
Thanks to you, Jake and Andrew Hartz, because I have a feeling he might help on this, for producing the show. As always, you guys are the best. Subscribe to Amazing But True on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcast. Subscribe to the New York Post Sports YouTube page to watch all episodes. Find that Amazing But True playlist and give us a thumbs up below on YouTube and comment below. We'll read the comments, and we'll definitely trying to be a little bit more interactive with our fans from here on out, because we're suffering along with you guys. So we'll mention you guys on the next broadcast so we can get your interaction and try to answer your questions, comments, concerns. I want to be a man of the people, as they say. So follow us on Twitter at Amazing But True, at FiggyNY, and at Jake Brown Radio.
And if you need a cheese pa, tweet us at lachispa.com. All right. Well,
no, whatever you do, don't stick .com behind anything, especially when it's in another language, because then people go to it and they get a virus and they're going to blame you.
Romcom.com.
Oh, here we go.
Throwing a lot of .coms. I'm actually going to get my site rebranded. I need to get it looking more aesthetically pleasing at some point. Well, Mets and the Rays, we'll see you at the ballpark this week. Tuesday, I'm actually going, as people listen to this, to Mookie Wilson is doing a catering event for Mets season ticket holders, which I am not one, but I, as a member of the media, I have the ability to go eat some of Mookie Wilson's food. So it's kind of a get some free food card for me, but also get content. So you'll have me eating Mookie Wilson.
Whoa, pause. The hell just happened?
That sentence did not come out like I was supposed to. You'll have me eating Mookie Wilson's food. Quickly, his catered food.
Oh my God.
And we'll tweet those videos that are true.
The worst part is that wait, the worst part is that it's barbecue. So that could have been much, much worse.
Things are getting spicy between Mookie and
it's tender.
Yeah. We eating spicy food, and then he'll ordain my wedding in 8 years.
You can do it all.
I guess the timeline I'm putting at it. That means that would put me at 40. So by 40, I think I'll be married. So there we go. All right. Well, the Knicks season's over. Nets season's over. Ranger season. It's all about the Mets. So be better. Please save us and go beat the Rays. We'll talk to you Thursday. Figgy will be back after Sunday Night Baseball on Sunday against the Guardians. Looks like good weather all week. So hopefully no rainouts, normal schedule week, and maybe a couple of Mets series wins. For Nelson Figueroa, I'm Jake Brown. We'll see you Thursday. And Figgy, we got to rally the troops. So we need some cheese pods, and we also need 3 words, and 3 and 2 and 1.
Let's go Mets.
Be better, please.